There is a quiet danger that most people never notice, and it has nothing to do with failure, lack of talent, or even bad intentions. It is delay. Delay disguises itself as patience, as planning, as waiting for the right time. But in reality, it slowly drains life of its sharpest opportunities. People often believe that effort is the heavy price they must pay, when in truth, the heavier cost is what accumulates when nothing is done. Every time a moment calls for action and is ignored, something invisible is lost, not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily. Many believe that skipping one message, postponing one decision, or ignoring one inner signal will not matter in the long run. They tell themselves they will return to it later, when life is calmer, when they feel more prepared, when circumstances are perfect. But life does not pause. While we wait, habits deepen, comfort hardens, and the door that once stood open begins to narrow. Eternal wealth is not stolen from us. It is surrendered through repeated delay. By the time loss becomes visible, the choice that caused it is long forgotten. There is discipline in acting when the mind resists and the body hesitates. That discipline is where lasting value is formed. The path that leads to enduring wealth, the kind that cannot be taken by time, begins with doing what is necessary before it feels convenient. Most people measure cost by effort, pain, or sacrifice, yet they rarely calculate the silent price of hesitation. That price is paid in regret, in weakened character, and in missed alignment with purpose. What seems like a small delay today can reshape the direction of an entire life. Understand this clearly. Opportunities do not disappear suddenly, they fade. First, the urgency softens. Then the meaning becomes unclear. Finally, the moment passes without ceremony. This is how most losses occur. Not through dramatic collapse, but through a slow erosion of awareness. When a warning arrives and is ignored, the mind learns to ignore the next one more easily. Delay trains the soul to sleep. There are moments in life that do not return in the same form. They arrive with a certain weight, a quiet pressure that asks for attention now, not later. January 14th is such a moment. It is not significant because of the date itself, but because of what it represents. A point where awareness is still possible, where choice still exists. To ignore such a moment is to choose comfort over clarity, distraction over direction. People often say they are waiting for motivation, but action creates clarity, not the other way around. Waiting weakens the will. Action sharpens it. The strongest individuals are not those who feel ready. They are those who move despite resistance. They understand that delaying growth is more damaging than struggling through it. Eternal wealth favors those who respond when the call is quiet, not when the consequences become loud. If you listen carefully, life always speaks before it takes. It warns before it withdraws. It invites before it closes the door. Missing that invitation is not harmless. It reshapes destiny. And when awareness is skipped, what is lost cannot always be recovered. The cost of delay is always greater than the cost of effort. Remember that before this moment passes. Many people spend their entire lives chasing what they believe is wealth, yet very few ever stop to question what will actually remain when time has taken everything else away. They count success in numbers, in possessions, in recognition, comfortable and in comfort. But none of these things follow you beyond the moment they are enjoyed. They are temporary rewards for temporary effort. Eternal wealth is different. It is not something you acquire. It is something you become through awareness, discipline, and alignment. Awareness is the beginning of all lasting value. Without it, even abundance leads to emptiness. A person can own much and still feel poor because inner clarity was never developed. When awareness is missing, life becomes a cycle of wanting more and feeling less. Eternal wealth grows when you understand why you act, not just what you gain. It forms when your actions are connected to purpose rather than impulse. This is why many who appear successful remain restless, while others with very little walk with calm strength. Possessions demand maintenance, status demands validation, recognition demands repetition. None of these are stable foundations. They collapse the moment attention shifts away, but awareness strengthens when tested. It deepens through restraint, through self-observation, and through choosing meaning over comfort. What you carry within you shapes every decision, every reaction, every path you take. That inner structure is what endures. True wealth is built when intention guides action. When you act only to accumulate, you are always chasing. When you act with clarity, every step reinforces who you are becoming. This kind of wealth cannot be taken by circumstance because it is not dependent on circumstance. It is rooted in discipline, humility, and self-responsibility. These qualities do not shine loudly, but they last. Many people confuse freedom with indulgence, yet indulgence weakens awareness. It distracts the mind and dulls the senses. Awareness requires restraint, not deprivation, but conscious choice. When you learn to pause before reacting, to listen before speaking, and to reflect before acting, you begin to store something far more valuable than comfort. You store stability. Over time, this stability becomes strength. Eternal wealth also demands alignment between values and behavior. There is a silent tension when a person knows what is right, but repeatedly chooses what is easy. That tension drains energy and clarity. When values and actions align, the mind becomes quieter, decisions become simpler, and life begins to feel guided rather than chaotic. This alignment is rare, which is why so few experience lasting fulfillment. Look closely, and you will see that those who leave an impact are not remembered for what they owned, but for how they lived. Their discipline, their integrity, and their awareness continue to influence others long after they are gone. That influence is a form of wealth that multiplies instead of fading. It is built slowly, through daily choices that most people overlook. If you spend your life collecting what cannot last, you will eventually face emptiness. But if you invest in awareness, clarity, and disciplined action, you build something that time cannot erase. This is the difference between having wealth and becoming wealthy in the truest sense. Eternal wealth begins the moment you stop chasing more and start becoming more. There is a pattern that repeats itself across every life, every civilization, and every personal downfall. Yet few choose to recognize it while it is still useful. Consequences never arrive without warning. They are preceded by signals, discomfort, and moments of inner resistance. The warning is subtle because it respects free will. It does not force change, it invites it. And because it does not shout, it is easy to ignore. Most people believe consequences appear suddenly, as if life turns against them overnight. In truth, the turning point happened long before. It happened when advice was dismissed, when discomfort was avoided, when reflection was replaced with distraction. Warnings often feel inconvenient. They challenge habits, question direction, and disturb comfort. That is precisely why they are valuable. They arrive to correct the course while correction is still possible. Life does not punish without first teaching. It shows you the imbalance before it allows the collapse. It sends signals through unease, through repeated patterns, through moments that ask you to pause and look inward. When these signals are ignored, they do not disappear. They transform into consequences, and once they do, learning becomes painful instead of purposeful. There is a reason warnings come early. Early awareness preserves choice. Late awareness demands payment. When you recognize a warning, you still have room to adjust, to slow down, to realign. When consequences arrive, adjustment becomes damage control. This is why ignoring a warning is never neutral. It is a decision to accept a heavier lesson later. Many confuse silence with safety. When nothing seems wrong, they assume nothing is wrong. But the absence of pain does not mean the absence of danger. Just as the body sends signals before illness, life sends signals before collapse. The disciplined individual learns to listen early. The undisciplined one waits until the message is impossible to ignore. This moment is not random. It is a reminder. A final nudge before momentum takes over. Skipping it is not harmless. Each ignored warning strengthens the habit of ignoring the next. Over time, awareness weakens, and what once felt urgent feels distant. This is how people drift far from their original path without ever choosing to leave it. Warnings are acts of mercy. They are opportunities disguised as discomfort. They arrive when growth is still accessible, when correction is still lighter than consequence. But mercy has a window. It does not remain open indefinitely. When that window closes, what remains is accountability. The disciplined mind understands this. It does not wait for collapse to justify change. It responds to the earliest signal. It listens when the message is quiet. It adjusts before pain demands attention. This is not fear, it is wisdom. It is respect for time and responsibility for one's own path. If you ignore the warning, you do not escape the lesson. You only postpone it until it becomes unavoidable, and by then, the cost is no longer optional. Warnings come before consequences. Listen, while listening still protects you. People often believe that destiny is shaped by major events, dramatic turning points, or once in a lifetime opportunities. This belief is comforting because it allows them to wait. It tells them that until something big happens, nothing is required of them. But this is an illusion. Life is redirected not by grand moments, but by quiet decisions made when no one is watching. One choice, made with clarity at the right moment, can outweigh years of regret accumulated through avoidance. Regret is not born from mistakes alone. It grows from knowing what should have been done and choosing not to do it. The weight of that knowledge does not disappear with time, it deepens. Many carry this weight silently, convincing themselves that it is too late to change. But what truly seals regret is not time. It is inaction at critical moments. When awareness is present and action is still possible, choosing comfort over courage creates a memory that returns again and again. There are moments when the path divides quietly. Nothing dramatic marks the split. No one announces that this choice will echo across a lifetime. Yet this is exactly how pivotal decisions appear. They feel ordinary. They ask for a small effort, a brief pause, a willingness to listen. Most people overlook them because they do not feel urgent enough. But destiny recognizes them clearly. Choosing differently does not require perfection or certainty. It requires responsibility. Responsibility means acknowledging that even a single step taken with intention can shift direction. This is why disciplined individuals do not wait to feel ready. They understand that readiness is a result of movement, not a prerequisite for it. Action clarifies purpose. Avoidance blurs it. Eternal wealth is secured through such moments. It is protected by choosing growth over comfort, awareness over distraction, and discipline over delay. These choices are rarely celebrated, yet they accumulate power quietly. Over time, they form a character that stands firm when circumstances change. This strength is not loud, but it is enduring. Many people hope to escape regret by forgetting it. But regret does not need remembrance to exist. It lives in missed potential. The only way to neutralize it is through conscious action when the opportunity still stands. When you act in alignment with what you know is right, something settles within you. The inner conflict dissolves. Peace follows not because life becomes easier, but because you are no longer resisting it. This moment is such a crossroads. It asks for presence, not belief. It asks for action, not agreement. Ignoring it is still a choice, and it carries its own outcome. Listening, reflecting, and responding is also a choice, one that carries weight far beyond today. No one can make this decision for you. Responsibility cannot be delegated. But once the choice is made, its impact extends further than you can predict. One conscious decision, taken at the right time, has the power to protect a lifetime from regret. Choose now, while choice still shapes the future.